What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Woods Fishing. Just before we start this video, I want to say I apologize for not posting in the past couple weeks. That is because it has been very busy and I haven't had very many good ideas for videos, but you subscribers came through and gave me some good ideas. So today we're going to be filming the jig versus chatterbait, how they're different and which one is better for certain applications. So that's what we're going to be doing today. And before this video starts, I just want to let you know that the Baits Company now has a new website and you can go on there and order. And I'm actually going to have a 10% discount for anyone who goes on in the next couple days and orders. And the code is new site 2019. So that will be the new code, and go pick something up and get a little discount and help me out. That would be greatly appreciated. And I also want to thank all you guys who are joining the pro staff and ordering some lures. I really appreciate that. But without further ado, let's get into today's video, the jig versus chatterbait. Hope you enjoy this one. This is honestly going to be a rather easy comparison because they are really similar. For all you guys that don't know, a chatterbait is basically just a jig except it has a blade on it. So it's kind of a combination of a spinnerbait and a jig, sort of. It's kind of complicated, but the origin of the chatterbait really comes from Z-Man. They were the first one to design the blade that attaches to the front of the jig head and gives it a vibrating sound in the water like a crankbait. Overall, it was a really unique lure when it came out, and there was nothing like it, but now they're everywhere and it kind of seems like a usual lure. But I'm going to compare the differences and similarities between the two and when it is best suitable to use both of them, and I'm going to show you guys some underwater footage as well. So let's show you guys the lures now. Alright, so here is the chatterbait. As you can see, it is very similar to a jig. If you take away the blade like this, it looks similar to a jig. It's more of an archy head type, if you guys know what that is, and then you have this little, is it a pentagon or is it an octagon? I'm not sure, but you have this little blade. It's got 6 sides, so it's I don't even know. I'm just gonna stop. But you got this blade and there's a little swivel for where you put the line on the end, and then it kind of just goes side to side vibrating in the water. I'll show you that for the underwater footage. But the skirts on these aren't great. These are just Z-Man, so they're kind of just the usual. But overall, this is what the chatterbait looks like: head, skirt, hook, and this blade. And now I'll show you guys a jig to compare it to. So here's a jig. The head is a little bit different. It's more of a stand-up brush head, and we got a skirt, looks a little thicker. You can see the hook a lot less, a little nicer, multiple layers. And the difference between those two, the main one at least, is the weed guard, and there's no blade on this one. The weed guard basically sits right in front of the hook, so if you catch on weeds right here, they'll just brush right off of it. It won't get snagged on the hook. That's the purpose of that though, and that is what the jig looks like compared to the chatterbait. I'll hold them up side to side right now. So basically, to give you guys a up close comparison, those are the two. They look kind of similar, but they are very different because the chatterbait vibrates and kind of makes a crankbait vibration in the water, and the jig you can just kind of swim it or do whatever and hop it and stuff like that. So now I'm going to show you guys what I mean by this with some underwater footage. But before that, I'm going to tell you about where and when these things can come into good use, the best times to use them. So let's get into that quickly. Alright, so there's like one main difference between the chatterbait and jig, in my opinion, but it's kind of controversial. I'm just gonna say it. The chatterbait, in my opinion, is more of a search bait. You throw it when you're just trying to cover water because you can just reel it in really easily. Jig is more of a slower bait. Once you get to your spot where you know there's fish, hop it off the bottom. But you can also swim a jig in. That's the controversy part. But I believe a chatterbait's more of a kind of just a search bait because you can reel it in while you're looking for those fish, and it's really simple. You just reel it in, and while you're rocking, you can just cast and keep casting and keep covering water and keep doing that. So that's the main difference, I believe. Also, the blade creates a vibration. For the jig, it's not a vibration, but jigs can have rattles. So they both produce a little bit of sound, but the vibration in the water is really the main difference. But there are multiple ways to work a chatterbait. Most people just believe you can reel it in, but you can also hop it off the bottom and the blade vibrates a little bit. It's just a bunch of different stuff you can do. And overall, like I said, they're similar, but at the same time they're different. So I think that if you're going to use a chatterbait, you should use it when you're trying to cover water and looking for fish, or even if, especially if you're at a new spot. And I believe a jig would be more if you're in a spot that you know they want it, and it's more of a slower pace. You can swim that in too, but you can also hop it off the bottom. But you can do that with the chatterbait too. Overall, they're pretty similar, but in my opinion, I like the jig better. I don't know why. I typically get more bites on it. I'm better at fishing it. There's lots of different things you can do with each though, so let's get to the underwater footage now. This is a pretty sorry excuse for tank, but this is all we could work with. We've got our blurry jig. This is the one I had tied on, so we're just going to use this, and then I'll tie the chatterbait on. And our bait caster. So I'll put you guys on the tripod, and I'll show you how the jig looks underwater. Alright, I know this isn't the greatest, like I said, and I apologize, but it's the best we got. So this is just a little black and blue jig. So I'll dip this in the water now. As you can see, the jig kind of sits on the... Sometimes it balances on the head, but sometimes it doesn't. It just lays flat. And as you can see how hopping off the bottom would be good, because if you can see that, it looks very good, especially with this brush hog. The phalanges or tentacles or whatever you want to call them, they look very good in the water. But reeling it in also would be good too, because as you can see those spin. But I will show you that overall hopping it just looks good compared to reeling it in my opinion at least. Like I said, we don't have a lot of space to work with, so I can't show you continuously reeling it in, but you guys get the idea. That's what it looks like when you're just reeling it in. And it doesn't make any sound, and normally wouldn't make this thumping sound either, but it's hitting hard plastic. But in the actual sand or mud or whatever you're fishing, it would look a lot more normal, or it would sound a lot more normal. But that's how it looks, hopping off the bottom. That's my approach that I would do to it. I'm reeling it in, just looks like that. Not so good, but I really think the action is good when you hop it off the bottom. So we'll pull this out now and test the chatterbait out. Alright, so we are about to drop the chatterbait in the water right now. This is the one I showed you, so it is the same one. And there you see it. It doesn't look, like I said, I don't think Z-Man does a good job with their skirts. Maybe if you get a better quality one. But overall, I don't know about the skirt. It just does not look as good as the jig. And I guess there's not a trailer on here, so you can't really judge it based on that. But that's what it looks like, popping it off the bottom. I don't know if it's really similar, honestly. The blade flash is nice, so maybe this one is better for the finesse approach, but I'm still sticking with the jig. It's really more of your opinion. I just wanted to show you guys what the two look like. And you guys can see a little bit there, the vibrating action on the blade. Like I said, I have limited room, so I really can't give you the full view of it. I wish I could, but I'm working with what I got here. You guys can see when I'm pulling it back and forth, though, the blade kind of vibrates. Normally when you're reeling it in, it does that really fast. So that's what the chatterbait looks like, and that's why I think it's a better moving bait than the jig, because it has some action and vibration in the water, which can create a reaction strike. So that's what the chatterbait looks like. So that's about going to wrap up this video. So overall, this is kind of, I'm titling this as jig versus chatterbait, which one works better, but really they both work excellent if you use them in different places. Like I said, I think the chatterbait is more of a retrieval bait. You just reel it in, but it also works good hopping off the bottom, and the same things for the jig. Overall, both of them are really good, and you can't go wrong with either, but it's really your choice and which one you believe you can catch more fish on. I think that the jig is better in my opinion. That's just what I think. Now, I haven't used the chatterbait as much as the jig, but I still have used the chatterbait a lot. Overall, it's really 50-50. It's really your opinion, but mine is the jig. I've caught a lot more fish. I've caught my PB on the jig. I've caught a muskie on a jig. I've caught just so much stuff on the jig, and I feel like it catches more fish than the chatterbait. and I believe you can be a lot more creative with the jig, and overall I just like the jig better. This was just showing you the underwater footage so you could make your own opinion. So I hope I helped you do that. This is going to wrap up today's episode. I really appreciate you watching. If you want to see more lure underwater footage videos, just head-to-head lure competitions, opinions, stuff like that, definitely leave a like on this video and comment down below what you would like to see in the next episode. I really appreciate you watching, and just to give you a heads up, I have a couple fishing videos saved that I'm going to start posting late April, early May, and I'll be able to fish mid-May, so there won't be many more of these videos, luckily. I appreciate you watching this video. Thanks so much. If you haven't already, join the Woods fam, subscribe below, drop a comment and like on this video. Like I said, it really helps me out, and check out those baits if you haven't already. Thanks so much for watching another episode of Woods Bass Fishing. I'll see you guys on the next episode.